In time for our football roundtable. Got a nice two-shot there, Jalen. Sean wants a good two-shot. Just the two of us here. We got ditched. One loss, and all our hosts just ditched us. And our roundtable was 4, and now it's just 2. But hey, man, we're thick and thin people.
Win, loss, we're here. We show up. We move on. Next game.
There's different types of losses, right? And I guess this falls under the sort of category of the good loss in the sense that you walk away feeling like the team fought and in a lot of ways played well. The problem with these type of losses is you go, it's just they basically came up one play short, and then you can look at 30 different plays. And that's why we're on here talking about a roughing the passer in the first or second quarter, whenever the first one was, and you're talking about a 2-point conversion, and you're talking about a 2-minute drill or a false start penalty. I mean, those are the ones that, certainly as a fan, you agonize over. I don't know how players take it.
Yeah, these ones are emotional. I think that you saw that from the team being in the locker room. These ones hurt. They dig in. They feel a little bit more than the games where you kind of get manhandled a little bit. You get bounced around. Those ones seem that you can kind of, all right, we got some things to fix. Let's get back to it. But these ones can dig in, especially the way they lost and then having to fly back home. They're emotional. But I think, like you said, it's hard to say. Always hard to say a good loss, but it was a loss. I think they can really build off, and I think it's one of those games. I look back to, I mentioned in the broadcast, I think Washington State when we lost my sophomore year, and then I think back of the Cal game when we lost it at Cal.
Yep.
And those were games that
similar games.
We're grinders,
yep.
and they broke us down emotionally, but we also built back stronger after that. And I think this is an opportunity for this team to build back stronger after this, getting through one of these tough ones. And they found out a lot about themselves, and I'm sure now they're all emotionally charged. And if they can find a way to guide that emotion in the right direction, I think it could be a really good team.
Yeah, and I think they lost without getting exposed, and I'm putting that in quotes if you're listening on the radio, because I think there was a lot of people that are sort of saying, "Oh, this team's going to get exposed." I don't walk out of there going, "There's nothing there's nothing that can't be fixed until you get new players or a whole off season," and I don't get the sense that the head coach feels like they can't continue to win games and continue on with the team they have.
Yeah, the offense was ticking, was really kicking butt. I think you mentioned in the broadcast maybe how fast they started and how they were on the ball as opposed to when they played against Oregon State. It seemed like they were a little confused.
Was so different.
Yeah, they were on it. They knew what they were doing. They were going through their stuff. Even Caleb knew exactly what he wanted to do. So you saw offensively how they made that progress from that. That's inspiring. But defensively, you watch the game and they're very close to a lot of stuff. Obviously, they never really found out the puzzle of Dalton Kincaid and what he kind of could do.
Well, take us through that puzzle, okay? Because you and Peter Arbogast, I thought, had a fairly good conversation about it during the broadcast, because you're going, got to get somebody else to beat us other than Dalton Kincaid. And I think what Lincoln Riley said and sort of what Pete was saying too is tight ends are a tough matchup for that reason. If you just have a big X receiver on the outside, maybe a little bit easier to just say, hey, we're going to double team him. Work in that middle of the field, what they're able to do with Kincaid, what USC does with slot receivers, sometimes a little bit harder because there's communication, you're passing guys off, you're playing zones, you got to tackle them. A little bit more that maybe goes into it than just saying, hey, put 2 guys in that guy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Going back and watch, when you're calling a game and you go back to watch it, it's 2 different things. At the time you're like, holy crap, every play's going to him. I'd put 6 guys on the guy, But you just kind of feel like that it was snowballing for a while. So, but when you watch the game, it was just mismatch. You have him on linebackers at times, and he's a speed mismatch for some of those linebackers. And then you move a corner or a nickel guy, and then there's a physical mismatch. He's just a little bit stronger, can kind of move him around, and that's why the tight end position is. You get a Travis Kelce, you get a Rob Gronkowski, you get one of these guys. They're like gold because they're just they can be so valuable to an offense where you just can't do anything. Only thing I wish they just would have. I know that they have the game plan of coming in with double teaming him, but I wish they just would have been. Let's just take a chance. Maybe we just add an extra guy to this guy every time and give him a little more spy action.
Losing Jordan Addison or Eric Gentry, which one scares you more if they're lost for an extended period of time? We don't know if you're just joining us. There's no they don't really talk about injuries that way anymore. So if you do happen to lose one of those two for an extended period of time, which one scares you more?
I would say Eric Gentry, just because the defense is. I think he's kind of the heart and soul of that thing. I think he gets them going and kind of inspires them. Where Jordan Addison, obviously an incredible talent, and can do some amazing things. But I think you have, just watching last game, more weapons you can use. Kind of, there's guys building more confidence of what they can do, and I think Lincoln Riley's getting more confidence in those guys. So I think on that side, you'll miss him a little bit. But Eric Gentry's, I think, a big hole to be filled.
One final segment of Trojans Live. Jordan Moore and Shaun Cody here to bring you home on a Monday night. Little bye week this week. Little R&R for the Trojans. Little R&R for Mr. Cody. You know, when you went hard for 7 straight weeks, man, you got to take care of the family, take care of the kids, work on the pizza restaurant.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff this weekend planned for you plan these. I mean, when you're not playing football or coaching or one of those things, this is like been circled for you. Probably it's been circled for me. Like, we get a little time off here.
Some things to do, including watch football, and so that's my over under, which is not an over under this week, but
good.
Over under
specialty.
Over under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. It's a pick'em, and it's the UCLA Oregon game. I mean, I think that's the game of the week in terms of what has to do with USC. UCLA goes up to Oregon, so it's a very kind of similar test, right? An undefeated team, they go on the road to maybe the 2 toughest environments in this league are Utah and Eugene. What do you think, UCLA or Oregon?
Well, I think UCLA has the talent probably to beat Oregon, but I think for that reason of going on the road, and it's really UCLA's first road test this year, and we've seen how challenging road tests. I mean, it's just in college football, it's just a challenge. And
only road game they played is at Colorado, which speaks for itself.
Yeah, so it's just it's a different thing playing in football, and even though the Rose Bowl hasn't been to capacity or anything, but it's different when you have to take your team and do it on the road, especially that environment. That's a whole nother topic. So for that reason, I would lean towards Oregon, I think.
Yeah, I think I would too. If not, UCLA, I think really shows something. I mean, that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
If UCLA can win up there, and that's why I think in a lot of ways USC showed a lot at Salt Lake, because it was not a game where you go, oh, now they're on the road, they got exposed a little bit. No, it was a game where they took it to Utah in their own building. Yeah. And, just...
I think those fans were even shocked.
Yeah, and quieted at times. They were able to quiet them down at times, but it was a heck of an atmosphere. I mean, that was a blast of a college football game if it didn't hurt so much at the end.
Yeah, pulled your heart out, but it was definitely fun to call and watch and be a part of.
All right, thank you to our awesome crew here inside Heritage Hall. Appreciate everyone.
I mean our crew? We're missing half of them.
No host, but look, 100% attendance from the behind the camera crew, I think that's our behind the radio. So thank you to everyone involved. Our executive producers Drew DeHart, our producers Rick Cutler, Ben Conroy, battling through it to engineer. Who's back at the studio tonight? Art Webb?
It's me,
my buddy Art Webb, back at the studio. We will be back next Monday for a little Arizona prep show. So tune back in for that. Until then, fight on, everybody.